Hi, Mermaid Junkies. How are you? It is Monday, Mermaid Monday Master, and you are watching Mermaid Junkie TV, a Mermaid Junkie's blueprint for how to create a life you love. So today we're going to talk about how to receive. There are many times or many ways that people receive affection or gifts or help. And essentially all of these are forms of love. So if we have a difficult time receiving all of these things, help, gifts, affection, we have a difficult time receiving love because that's basically what they are. So the reason for this is probably because when we were young and children growing up, we learned to receive love based on conditions. So I know that that's the case for me, and I know that I have, quite sadly, but I'm going to be compassionate with myself, but I did also raise my kids with a sense of loving them on conditions. So when this happens and we go to receive love, we feel bad or a sense of regret or sadness. There are many ingredients to receiving love. First, we must recognize our seawalls, or our barriers is what I like to call them. I like to call them seawalls. You can call them barriers if you'd like, to receiving love. Okay, one of them is that we distrust. Have you ever had this moment? I know that I have many times, probably more so in my 20s or 30s, is to where you receive a gift and then you're immediately thinking, now I have to give them something. Now what am I going to give them? And you feel this sense of guilt and like, you don't like the feeling. It's not a good feeling. So the other reason that we have a hard time, I know for me in the past, is that we distrust the motives of that particular person and why they're giving us a gift, because everything is based on conditions. We fear that we are giving up our defenses, and so that we can't receive that. So it makes it difficult for us to receive things, gifts, help, affection, love, essentially. We need to recognize that our motives need to be pure, which we always think, if you're like me and you were raised with being loved on conditions, that there is an ulterior motive. And it also makes me feel panic, or I feel a sense of vulnerability, and I don't like that feeling. I've never liked that feeling. It makes me fearful and I don't like it. So I will reject when people would give me those particular things. A lot of times, another seawall that I like to call, or barrier, is that we struggle with help. Have you ever, I know I have been this way, and I don't know if you have, but I used to struggle with receiving help from people. Help in like me at church with my children in Sacrament when my husband is away on a trip. Being very, very ill, and I know that I was offered help to help come and take care of my house and clean up and tidy because I was very ill and I couldn't do it. But do you think that I received that love by receiving the help? No, because that made me feel incapable. It made me feel that they had a motive behind why they were helping me. Or I had my defenses up because I felt like now they can use this as leverage against me. You know, what if they go and tell so-and-so that I'm a terrible housekeeper? Or what if the lady that helps me in church and they see the other people in the congregation see her helping me, that's going to make me feel inferior, inadequate, like I have 4 children and I can't handle my own 4 children. So it's basically a sense of, this disapproval within ourselves, or a lack of love for ourselves, that we can't receive help. The other thing is, and I think I already described this, is that, it makes us feel vulnerable. And a lot of times we're fearful of that. Children that are raised on a conditional level always worry about, we live in fear. And so that is a real difficult thing to overcome. Let's see. Also, we feel a sense of owing them. Like, if I do this for them, now I'm going to have to owe them, or I have to pay them back in some way. We don't understand what it's like to freely receive love, or that we're capable, or that we deserve it. That is another seawall that we struggle with, is that we feel we don't deserve love, or that we have to earn that love, or we have to do something or achieve something in order to receive love. When we know truthfully that love doesn't work like that. Love is given freely, and there is no tally sheet. I think another seawall is that some people are addicted to reciprocity, which means that they have a feeling as though things have to be equal. You did this for me. Now I get to do this because you owe me. Now there's, 3 things on your side and I have 5 on this side. So I have a little bit of leverage. And it's a sense of, I think it's a sense of then we reject that because we don't want to feel, again, we don't want to feel vulnerable, or I don't want to feel like you have something on me, like you can hold something over my head, and I feel like that's a manipulation. So of course I'm not going to take that or receive that love or that gift or whatever it is, because I feel that there is a motive and it's not a kind and loving, pure motive behind it, which it isn't. That is not love. And if that is something that you struggle with, I can totally understand. I think that everyone that has been raised been raised with conditional love could relate to me in that sense. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you can. So there's several things to receiving rehabilitation for this, or what I like to call is ocean cleansing, which means we want to rehabilitate and figure out ways that we can practice in receiving love. So a couple of those things would be, we need to live in complete transparency, which means that you need to own why you're giving and what you're expecting to receive. And so I think what happens is, if you're honest within yourself and you have other people to be accountable and be honest for why they are giving and receiving, then it helps you to become safer. You feel more safe and that you can trust that person, because it's not easy to tell someone that has trust issues, oh, you just need to trust that I'm doing this, because it's very difficult for someone like me to be able to easily trust. So you have to work into it. It's a gradual process. But the transparency part of learning to live that way helps you immensely, because you're able to recognize and be in those moments of understanding and safety. I think that's what's so important, is that we want that safety net. And so what better way to do that is to become aware of your motives. Become aware of what the other motive of the other person is. So say, for instance, I wanted to bake Mitch or Sailor some cookies. And the reason that I wanted to bake him cookies was initially because I love him and I want him to be happy. And I know that this particular cookie makes him happy. But I also need to express to him that I'm making this cookie because tomorrow I want for you to please add some widgets on my blog so that I can have my traffic go there. So do you see what I'm saying? Is that it's not a bad thing. It's just me becoming safer in the environment, because he knows clearly what my motive is, which isn't wrong entirely, but it's also being able to express that and being true with ourselves, because isn't that ultimately what things are about? Is in order to receive love, we have to be accepting of ourselves and to have love within our hearts so that we can therefore grow and expand and evolve. Observing your life. When you see that you're receiving love, you can also just have others in your immediate circle of influence. Ask them, say, can you observe? And when you see that you think that I'm receiving love, that I will recognize that, because sometimes people like me have a difficult time understanding and receiving love and knowing that that's actually what it is. Say, for instance, someone could hug me and I not think that that's love, because that's not my language. That's not my love language. My love language is gifts. So gifts to me is something more understandable and I can recognize more so than somebody that's giving me affection. Does that make sense? And as always, I'm yours until my next swim. Ciao.